And we have tardy people. All right. So you watched Gun Crazy. All right. This is one of the biggest rules I found, one of the coolest things in life. And you're going to find out that a lot of things when in movies, movies mimic life. They reflect on each other. It's called the 80-20 rule. How many of you have heard of the 80-20 rule? Right on. It's like a few people, great. 80-20 rule, this is crucial, life-changing shit. So this is also called the Pareto principle. Basically, there's like this Italian dude. Yeah, this is like me as a history teacher. There's this crazy Italian dude a couple hundred years ago living in Italy, and he was like sort of madman, philosopher, mathematician, scientist, whatever. And he was growing pea plants, and what he discovered is, like, he had like a garden of pea plants. He discovered that like 20% of these pea plants right here, this 20% out of the whole batch, 20% produced 80% of the actual peas. It's like these pea plants, 20% here are really fucking rocking. The other 80% of the pea plants only gave out 20% of the peas. It was one of these things where like there's a concentrated power here in 20%, and the other 80% was like sort of lame, weak power. And so he was like, this is weird, man. So he started examining shit in society, and he was like, wow, society is nature, and it's the same. He talked to shop owners who said, yeah, 20% of our customers give us 80% of the business. The other 80% of the customers only give us 20% of the business. He talked to restaurant owners and people, and they're like, same thing. 20% of our customers are really rad. We make 80% of our money from 20%. And then we have the other large majority of people who return dishes, complain, lots of bullshit from these people. We don't make money off of them. We have to give them extra attention. They sort of suck. And so that's the rule that I take into filmmaking, which is we have certain things we do in filmmaking that lead to miraculous, cool, powerful, immediate results. And we have other things in filmmaking, like this 80% of the peas that we pour time, energy, and money into, and we get lame-ass, stupid results. And so, Gun Crazy is a movie that the sequence you saw illustrates that. The movie is a low-budget, B-level, like, shoot-'em-up movie, and basically the movie is sort of like Bonnie and Clyde. You have a couple on the run, robbing banks, cops are after them, blah, blah, blah. And the movie was like 3 days behind schedule. The producers showed up on the movie set, and they were like, you're way behind schedule on this movie, and it's a low-budget movie, and we don't like you, so we're going to just pull your funding unless you catch up. Like, they gave them an ultimatum. Like, you have to catch up. Basically, you have to do 3 days of work or 4 days of work in 1 day to catch up. And they were like, how the fuck did we do this? We're going to lose some money. And they had a really big shoot coming up, which was the bank heist sequence. It was like sort of the big scene in the movie, and they had planned it out, and it was going to take a long time to film. They were going to go into the bank, film in the bank with the guards in the bank and the tellers, getting the bags of money and leaving. And they were like, this is going to take us like 4 days, 5 days to film it. And if we do that, we're going to fall even farther behind schedule, and the movie will never get done. We'll lose some money. So they were like, how the fuck can we get a bank heist done quickly and in a cool way? And so what you saw is the result. They basically said, we're not even going to set foot in the bank. We're going to put the camera in the back seat of the getaway car. The car's going to pull up at the bank. The woman's going to run into the bank. And they actually filmed this like verite in the world without permits. They just said, we're going to just punk rock this, no permits. And she actually ran into a real bank and hung out in the bank for like a minute, then came back out, hopped in the car, and she's like, get away, and they drive away. And this shoot that should have taken, if they did it the traditional, standard way we sort of picture it, going to the bank and all that shit happening, it would have taken them 4 days. the way they did it, it took them like under an hour. And so you saw the result, and as a result of that one fucking shot where they found the flow, they were back on schedule, and they got the money, and they finished the movie. So that, to me, is a perfect example of the 80-20 rule, where they did one activity, they poured some time, some energy into it, not tons of, and they got the huge payoff, which is, fuck, we're back on schedule, we got the whole scene filmed, and it only took us an hour. So that's what I'm talking 80-20 rule, especially in filmmaking. You're going to find moments where you're struggling to do something and it's going nowhere. And sometimes you have to pull the plug on it and pull a gun crazy and figure out an easy, better way to do it and think outside the box. I've had that happen where I've planned out scenes with people talking and I just, we haven't had time to film this stuff. So I've just said, let's do a handheld camera where we do one take where it's a wide angle shot, a second take where it's a medium shot, and then the third where it's close up, and then we walk away, we're all done, and it took 2 hours instead of 18 hours. 80-20 rule, it's crucial in movie making. You have to know, movies are about limitations, time, money, people, energy, and there is always a time where you have to pull the plug on bullshit and figure out a better way to do it. And I think this goes for life too, and even relationships. I found that I've got friends who are such solid friends that I feel like I'm just giving a little in a relationship. I'm getting a lot back. What the fuck? This is so cool. And then I have other people I know who I'm pouring my energy into people, and you're like, I'm just getting tired out, and they're not reciprocating with anything towards me, nothing good. That's like perfect example of the 80-20 rule. You're pouring your energy into maybe the wrong shit. So I think that's one of the keys of life and filmmaking is to figure out the flow. And when you find the flow, you're sort of riding that rad 20% of the pea plants that are really rocking out. All right, that's the 80-20 rule. Don't forget that. It's huge in life. All right, production, 80-20 rule. Keep it fun, no drugs. If you're the director of a movie, when you're on the movie set, you're going to have to be the best actor. Because if you're having a crummy day, you're going to have to show up on the movie set and smile and pretend to have a good day. I found that if I'm in a bad mood, I walk to the movie set and I let this spread around, everyone is going to have a bad day. If I'm having a bad day, the moment I show up in the movie set, I have to turn it around and make it positive and optimistic. People will follow your lead if you're like one of the main people. And speaking of main people, when I make my movie, it gets confusing. You're working with a lot of people. This is the hierarchy I see. You have producer, director, director of photography. All right, so I'm a director, I'm a writer-director, that's what I do. I also produce. And so, just in like definitions, writer, director's person comes up with the screenplay, it's their like creative vision. It's like, this is my idea, this is my movie. Producer is someone, it's like one of the hardest jobs in movie making. The producer's job is to take the director and the writer-director's ideas and make that shit a reality. So, as an example, let's say I'm a director and I'm saying, I want to make a movie with lots of sharks and lots of boats and people getting eaten. The producer is like, okay, so I've got to make that a reality, so I've got to figure out where do we get sharks, how do we do it safely, do we have boats, do we go in the ocean, how do we get actors to work with all that bullshit that has to make the idea real so you can film it. That's a producer's job. Producer's also in charge of taking care of all the stuff around, like the crew, firing the crew, even helping get equipment. Producer's job is basically realizing the director's vision. So if you need a camera to make your movie, it's the producer's job to realize that camera so the movie can be made. It's one of the hardest jobs in movie making. DP is director of photography, person coming up with, as a director, I work with the DP and we figure out how we're going to shoot the film, what it's going to look like. Production designer is a person who creates the look of the movie, the actual sets, props, all that shit. Costumes, I think, are really important, self-explanatory, what people wear, and makeup. A lot of people overlook it. I think makeup is crucial for actors. It's part of the look. It's part of what the audience sees. So I'm a producer, writer, director. I like to work with a separate producer. And what I do is I have key people doing these roles, and I meet with these people, explain to them my vision. They get a copy of the screenplay or the script, they read it, and then they have crew members they talk to. It's sort of like a hierarchy. I can't talk to every crew member, especially on a bigger movie. It's just, I don't have the expertise to like talk to makeup people. I know what I want, I don't know how to do it. So I, as a writer-director, am working with the producer who realizes my vision, does the bullshit work to make it all real, makes my creative, stupid, crazy ideas real so we can film it. I work with the DP, production designer, costumes, makeup, and these are, to me, the crucial people making the movie. And if you're making a small movie, you might be doing every single thing. And the problem with that is you've really got to separate yourself. It's like being schizophrenic, where each one is a distinct thing, and when you're thinking of like what the sets are going to look like, you have to just be that one person. It's really hard to do. That's why it's good to collaborate and have friends even helping you with costumes or something. I've done all this shit on a movie, and I've found I have to really isolate myself and say, like, today I'm going to just work on costumes. I can't even think about what camera we're using or where the money's coming from. Costumes. And that's what you have to do. You have to wear many hats, and you have to be able to like sort of isolate yourself and just do one thing at a time. It's a challenge. It is definitely doable, though. Okay, page 5, we have shots and camera. It's crucial to know shots, know all of this lingo. I'm gonna try to do this shit in like a minute or two. So we have upper left hand, master, wide, long, establishing. All of those are names for the same shot, which is the big ass shot where we see everything. So if I was doing a scene in this classroom, my master shot or wide or long or establishing shot would be a really wide angle shot if everyone's sitting in this room. And it's called an establishing shot because in cinema they were like, in the old days they were like, to make a movie you have to always open a scene with an establishing shot to tell the audience who's there, where are we, what are we looking at. And I think it's a cool idea. I don't think it's necessary. I like to start a lot of my scenes with close-ups where you don't know where the fuck you are. I think that's cool to keep the audience sort of perplexed. That is the sort of Hollywood rule, is you open scenes with a wide establishing shot. You go down, and that's called a medium shot. Usually it's people cut off at the waist, medium shot. Below that close-up, you have a face. Extreme close-up, you have the eyeball. Now we have a medium shot here. It's so crazy. They call it a two-shot because two people are in it. You have something called a three-shot where you have three people in it. And you can even say things. You can mix it up. You can say, I want a close-up two shot, so you have two people's heads close together. And it's really good to get this lingo down because this is how I talk to my director of photography. I'll say on the movie set, hey, Ann Usawa, let's set up and she's back there, by the way, who shot this movie. Hello, Ann. Yeah, she shot Numbskull Revolution. She's amazing. So we're on the movie set. I'll say, hey, Ann, let's start out with a medium two-shot of these two actors. And she knows exactly what I'm talking about. It really is good to learn this lingo. Camera movements are really easy. Pan. So you have the camera on a tripod. Pan, or you can hand hold it. Pan. One of the rules of panning is you have a start point of the pan and the end point. You want to face your end point, and you swivel toward. You start and swivel so that your end point is you facing it. You don't want to start at your beginning point and swivel that way. You know what I'm saying? So if you're the start point and you're the end for the pan, I want to face the end point and move the camera that way. That's pan. You have tilts up and down. And finally, we have a camera movement, dolly or tracking, where the camera moves on wheels. You can use skateboard, shopping carts, you can use anything. And that, in a nutshell, is shots and cameras. I mean, some schools go over this shit for a semester. This is really basic. We have something called MOS, which is without sound. Sometimes you're in a rush or you don't need sound, so you say, we're going to shoot this MOS, which just means fuck sound. And it's called MOS. I don't think this is a true story, how it really came about. They say that on some movie set, the director was German, so he, instead of saying without sound, he would say meet out sound, so MOS. That's it. I don't know if I believe that. We have something magical called cutaway shots, which are just these random, extra, miscellaneous shots that are crucial. And these are the shots that you get with every scene you create. So let's say we're shooting a scene in this classroom. We get a wide establishing shot. Then we get a medium 2 shot. Hey, let's get a medium 3 shot. All right, let's get a close-up. Let's do a pan. Let's do a tilt. After you get all your shots, what I would do is get these cutaways, which are just extra random shit. You don't know if you're going to use it. Just cover the bases. And it could be stuff like a close-up of someone's feet, a close-up of a hand and a pen, a close-up of a door and a clock or something. And these are weird bits of footage that in editing you might find you need. You might not need them. Just grab them. It's really important. These are called cutaways. I think that's all you got to know about all this shit. And this is how I learned this stuff. When I learned this stuff in film school or just in college, I watched a Hollywood movie, and I just watched it from beginning to end, and I talked out loud and tried to identify every shot and camera move. So watching a movie, I'm like, hey, that's a medium 2 shot. Oh, shoot, they did a tracking shot there on a dolly. Oh, we have a close-up. Oh, we have an extreme close-up. I just went through one feature movie and tried my hardest out loud to identify the shots, and by the end I had all the shit done. So try that, and you'll have this lingo done, down. All right, next page, shooting ratio. That's what you shoot versus what you actually use in the movie. So let's say we shoot 2 minutes of footage, 2 minutes of footage, and then we edit it and walk away with a 1 minute movie. That's a 2-to-1 shooting ratio. We shot 2 minutes of footage and got 1 minute of final product. And my thing is I try to keep the shooting ratio as low as possible. It's really easy with digital and just no tape, no film. It's really easy to keep shit rolling. Like, I know people on a movie set, they just shooting something on an iPhone, they're just like, let's turn it on and keep it rolling for 2 hours. You don't have to, got lots of battery power it's plugged in. I think that's the biggest mistake, because you're going to end up sitting in an editing room. You're saying, I'm making a 1 minute movie and I have to go through 18 hours of footage. That's crummy. I like to really shoot shit I need. So I try to keep my shooting ratio low. I did a movie that was less than a 1-to-1 shooting ratio, because I shot like 50 minutes of footage and made a over an hour movie, because I ended up recycling the footage, like slowing it down, printing it differently. Yeah, it's really ingenious. I've made movies with really low shooting ratios, and I don't know what, in Hollywood, they have shooting ratios that are like 100-to-1. I mean, you hear about The Shining, the Shelley Duvall thing, like with the axe, 137 takes, and she lost her mind because it was so grueling and fucked up. I've heard of other directors where they insist on doing 50 takes of one scene or one shot, and they end up using the first or second. It's like rock and roll bands in a studio. I found that the first take or the second take are the best, and the rest are downhill. I also, when I'm shooting a scene, if I shoot a scene and the take is really great and I can walk away, if we have extra time, I'll tell the actors, let's do it one more time. This time you guys just have fun, do it whatever the fuck you want, go haywire. And a lot of times that becomes the most usable take. Like in this new movie, whenever I said that, it was the best take with the actors. They just relaxed and were more in the moment, and they were sort of like, we're set, we have a good take behind us, this is all extra icing on the cake, let's just have fun, and those were the good performances. Keep the shooting ratio low, because it's just going to set you back in post-production if you have too much crap. All right. Yeah, too much footage is like having too much data on your phone. And it's also like knowledge. Everyone's like, knowledge is power. I disagree. I think knowledge is bullshit. It's like, no, for real. It's like your phone, and if you have too much knowledge, you have to get a new data plan and pay extra money every month. It's like, oh shit, this is maxed out. I got to pay extra $5 every month, No, I think too much knowledge is having 18 hours of footage for a 1 minute movie. That's knowledge. I think knowledge is crucial when you can sift through it, figure out the key things for you, and then you apply that shit to your life and actually use it and change shit. That, to me, is how you use knowledge. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is paralysis. It's like 18 hours of footage for 1 minute movie. All right. I've got some really cool release forms. Page 7, actor release form. I get actors to sign this. There's a really weird thing. I don't even know what the rule is. I've talked to lawyers about this, and I've gotten different answers. So I just do it this way. I have this thing where, hold on, do I have it here? Yes. Right in the middle of this contract, it says, we will pay you something, and I usually pay actors $1. There's something about America where a contract is not valid unless money is exchanged hands. So I try to do the smallest amount of money possible, $1. You can mail this out. So on the movie set, we have a stack of $1 bills. The actors sign the release form, and I give them $1. And basically, this release form is the rights for the actor to be in the movie, and when the movie's done, they can't sue me and stop the movie. I try to get this signed before we shoot a single frame of film. You want the actors to sign this before you make the movie. There's a story that Leonardo DiCaprio didn't sign one of these for like a $20 million movie, and he didn't like the way his acting was, so after the movie wrapped, he refused to sign the release form, and they couldn't release it. So make sure you get the actors to sign that. Property release, if you're ever on a location, like a school, you're filming in this classroom, you have to get the school to sign a property release. You need permission to film in like supermarket stores, stuff like that. Even like a friend's house, get a property release, give them $1, get this signed. And I'm just doing this. I've rarely had problems. It just is a cool thing. Sometimes relationships burn out. Your best friend, you filmed in their house, and suddenly you're not friends, and they're like, I don't want you to make that movie anymore. Well, you signed a property release. It's legal now, so fuck you. Yeah.
So what about the example you said about Gun Crazy, where like they went to a real bank?
Yeah.
They probably didn't get a release form. How does it work when you're doing stuff like that, like guerrilla style?
I'm pretty punk rock. I mean, I've done things where, gone into restaurants and had the actors acting at a table. Like Pete did that, and I've told the staff at the restaurant, like a Mexican restaurant, we just said, hey, it's someone's birthday. Can we just shoot some footage of their birthday? And then the actors are really rehearsed, so they sit down and they say their lines while eating the food, and we're filming it, and it looks like a birthday party, and we walk away with the footage. And I also filmed it I filmed it in medium shots, so we don't see the name of the restaurant and banners and shit. It's just, you can't identify the restaurant, so I figured I'd be safe that way. Yeah, and I mean, there are all kinds of rules about like shooting crowds of people. I can shoot a crowd of people. The moment you direct people, you need release forms. So if I film a crowd of people, that's fine. If I say, hey, everyone stop, just like don't smile, now I need release forms. It gets a little confusing. I try to just do punk rock shit, though. Yeah, you're welcome. Property release, and finally music release. Music is really difficult, okay? This is a really weird release form. Music is one of the things that if I was doing a really big project and dealing with like big musicians and studios and record labels, I would hire a lawyer. For one of my projects, we had to hire a lawyer to do music. And long story short, when you do music releases, there's like 6 or 7 contracts you have to get the band and musicians and composers to sign. If you miss out on one of them, you're fucked. It's a really complicated thing. And so when I was working on a big project, I was working with Andrea, my friend, who's a really hot shit producer, and we were like, we're doing these low budget movies and we can't afford a lawyer. What do? We got to get music releases. So she came up with this music release form, which is sort of like getting the 7 different contracts distilled into one. So this is what I use when I work with bands, this music release, and it gives me permission to basically put the band's music into the movie, to sync it up with the movie, to promote the movie with the band's name, to release the movie to the public, to use the band's name on posters, and to release DVD stream, and even on media that has not been invented in the future. Like, you want to just cover all this stuff, so yeah, music release form, crucial. Yeah.
So,
I was gonna
Oh yeah,
ask
units.
is that also the case if you're asking like someone to compose something especially for your short film?
Yeah.
If it was like a friend or a classmate?
Yeah, I would get that.
Okay.
And especially with friends, I mean, it's hard. I've had friends I've worked with, and then stuff happens. Movies are like a weird hormone that, or serum or something that they explode and push relationships to the extreme. So if you have a slightly bad relationship with someone and you're in a movie, it's going to get worse. If you have a good one, it could get better. Movies are just like being in a fucked up, stressed out family at times. So I try to really do these release forms because you never know what's going to happen. All right, you in front first, and then you in back.
So this says Apathy Productions.
Yeah.
Are you forming like an LLC?
Yeah, I have an LLC. So how I run my business is I have a legit business, Apathy Productions. I've done this for years, pay taxes, blah, 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 blah. And it's my production company. So yeah, it's a legal entity. It's all cool.
Would you suggest anyone do that before?
I mean, you don't have to. It is cool though. You become more legit, and then you get connected to the system and the man. Because I have to do like stupid taxes in Hawaii, and it's like really complicated in Hawaii for their taxes. And it's business taxes. So like, if I sell a DVD, I have to collect taxes and then give the government a little bit of it, stuff like that. And they have all kinds of rules, like if it's an in-state sale or out-of-state sale. I would suggest that if you're serious about film, you do need a legal entity to represent you. The other good thing about having a legal entity representing me is if I ever have a problem with a movie and someone sues my ass, they're going to sue this company and not me, and they can't get my personal belongings. If you do it under your name and you fuck up a movie and someone gets hurt and they sue your ass, they can like get all your shit. That's dangerous. Yeah, movies can be, and that's why you want to be safe and not. If you don't have insurance, don't drive around in cars and do that shit. All right, any other questions?
I just want to say,
Yeah.
if you do decide to do an LLC in California, you have to pay $800
What?
just to open it. Yeah.
Oh, that's, you guys, that's
Yeah, and also,
outrageous.
it's not $800 once, it's $800 every year, so.
No.
If you're not gonna make any films like this year, don't do it.
Oh my gosh.
Do it, you should talk to your accountant.
Okay. Oh, okay, you brought up a good point. Okay, back to insurance. These insurance policies only last for 30 days. Some last 60 days. I've heard of some filmmakers doing this shit where 3 people are making features in town. They'll band together and pretend they're making one big-ass feature. So they'll come up with a name for their big feature, and they'll say, yeah, we're shooting a big-ass feature with 3 parts, and it's actually 3 other features, and they'll get one insurance policy to cover all 3 movies and save a ton of money. It's highly illegal. I've heard of people doing this. All right. Now, since we're talking all this legal shit, let's talk copyright. This is so crucial as an artist. This is like the biggest thing any artist. This is like legal shit now. Huge. Copyright. All right, so copyright is so crucial. It's like the title to your car. It's like a birth certificate. It's like a passport. A title is proof of ownership, and the only way you can get this is through a copyright. It's protecting your artwork so people can't fuck with it. And if you don't do this, this is like, to me, one of the biggest issues of being an artist, biggest legal issue, and I think a lot of artists mess this shit up. I was really into this stuff when I started out, so I went to all these legal clinics, talked to lawyers, learned all this shit inside and outside. So long story short, you create a movie, and you have to protect it from people ripping it off, doing bootlegs, screening it, and making money. So there's a thing called copyright, which protects your work of art. The title is a passport, it's a birth certificate of your movie. And it's really easy to do. There are 2 ways to do it. Basically, this is how you do it. You do the C symbol, the year you made the movie, and if you have a production company that's a legit business, you can use it. So I use Apathy Productions because I'm legit. If you come up with a production company name and you aren't registered with the city, you're not legit, don't use it. It has to be a legally, valid entity right here. And if you don't have an Apathy Productions, you're not doing that, you just put your name there, your complete legal name, and you'll get protection. And you just slap that on at the end of the movie, and your movie's protected. It's really cool, right? It costs no money. It's just like one sentence or one line of this crap. Pop it in at the end of the movie. Your movie is protected, if someone tries to steal your movie and rip it off, or do something unethical with it, you can stop them. It's cool. I like to take it a step further, and I suggest you do, and that's you've got it registered with the Copyright Office. And I've got the info right on the last page. It's the first one, most important, copyright. And it costs money. Like, I did Numbskull Revolution. It cost like $125 to officially register the copyright. And the reason you want to do that is if you go hardcore, pay the money, register it with the Library of Congress, it allows you to sue and win money back. So if someone rips off your shit, you don't not only make them stop, you can sue their ass. And like if they did something really fucked up, you can get some money back. The other good thing about registering it is they send you a copyright certificate, a piece of paper with your name on it, with a stamp, and it's proof that it's your movie. And there's something about holding a certificate and having it on your person locked up somewhere for your movie that's really crucial. And I've been doing these copyrights for a while, and I do 2 copyrights. I copyright my writing, my screenplay or my script when it's done. When I'm finished with it, I do a copyright and mail in the money. I put this notation on the script, and then I register it with the Library of Congress, and you mail in a copy of your script with the money, and you first register it as a literary work, because that's what it is, it's writing. And that way you're protecting your script, so if you're sending it out to studios or financiers or even actors, you're safe. People can't rip it off because it has a copyright on it. Then when the movie is done, I do a second copyright for the movie because now it's different. It's no longer writing, it's a motion picture. And so yeah, you get the certificate, and I've been doing this for a bunch of movies, and I started adding up the money. I was like, fuck, I've spent like $600, and that's not movie money that's going on the screen. Like the audience doesn't see this money being wasted, and it actually all paid off. This guy stole some prints of my movie, one of my movies, and he was trying to book them into movie theaters behind my back to make money off of stolen, movies. And I called these theaters, and the first thing they said is, how can you prove that it's actually your movie, John? And I said, well, I've got the copyright certificate right here. And it was the old days, so I faxed it over to the theater. They saw it, and they're like, shit, it's your movie. And so they stopped the screenings and blackballed the other guy. It was so simple. If you ever have a movie and someone posts it on YouTube behind your back, that happens to me a lot. People think it's a good thing. Fans like, dude, Modfuck Explosion, that's a cool movie. I'm gonna post it on YouTube. On one hand, I'm like complimenting. On the other hand, I'm like, if people can see it for free, they're not gonna buy the DVD. That sucks. As an artist, I gotta protect it. And so you contact YouTube, and they have a way to contact them, and you show them the copyright certificate proving Modfuck Explosion is my movie. They'll take it down. If I don't have the certificate, it could take a while. It gets difficult. I've also had my movies play in a couple of film festivals where they've actually requested that I prove that it's my movie, because they're like, we don't want to get sued if we're playing a movie that you don't have the rights to. You might be playing your friend's movie, and then your friend will get angry and then sue us. So a couple of like really high-end European film festivals were like, we'll play your movie if you send us the copyright certificate to prove it really is your movie. So I would suggest you get your copyright. Definitely do the lo-fi way. Go the hi-fi way and register it. Mail the money in. Mail your work of art. And really crucial. Yeah, there's so many movies that are in the public domain because they fucked up the copyright. Like Night of the Living Dead is public domain, and I mean, I could literally grab that movie, run off DVDs of the movie and sell them and make money off of someone else's movie because they lost the copyright. And they lost it because the copyright used to be way more complicated to get, and people just fucked up the forms and didn't get copyright on their projects. It's messed up. All right. I'm going to sort of leap right now into a post-production, which is everything that happens after you shoot your movie. And this is my theory. My theory is sound is more important than the picture. And as an example, if I had a movie that was silent, I might have a hard time watching it, the whole movie. Whereas if I had a movie that was a blank screen and it had a really good soundtrack and music, I think I could deal with it. And I've always said to myself when I make my movies, I did this with the last few movies, I want to make a movie that you can watch with your eyes closed. So when I'm editing, I'll have moments where I'm just like, I'm going to watch my whole movie with my eyes closed, and you immediately see where there are gaps in the soundtrack. Soundtrack to me is 51% of the movie, sound, and the picture is 49%. So really, I mean, a lot of filmmakers, like, they spend a lot of time editing, and soundtrack is like after the fact. Like, I'll spend 3 hours, I'm done. I think it should be the other way around. So yeah, post-production is huge, sound is huge, and I think the most powerful person on any movie isn't the director or writer, not the actors and producers, it's the editor. And just as an example, you can have the most gorgeous, amazing footage that you shoot with mind-blowing performances, like fucking A+ shit. And if you edit it the wrong way, you have a crappy movie, right? And you can have really mediocre footage, out of focus maybe, some bad acting, not technically there. And if you edit the right way, you can walk away with a genius movie. Editing is where you play God with your movie. You can, with editing, you can get rid of characters. You can say, hey, I don't like this actor. I'm going to just cut him out of the entire movie and get rid of him. You are God with editing. You can change the mood of a scene by popping in new music. That's what I did with this movie. I spent 1 month in editing. I've never done this before. I'm going to do this for all my movies. So the movie was good. The movie was good. It wasn't great. And I said, I have to make it great because the emotion is there. The emotion, though, doesn't have depth. It doesn't go deep and low enough like bad shit, and the highs aren't high enough. So I was like, how do I create depth? And my first thought was like, I'm going to make the highs higher, make happy stuff happier. And then I was like, no, I'm gonna spend a month doing shadow work on my movie. And in psychology, that's like when it's Jungian psychology, where you go deep and you explore your negative aspects and your evil side. And it's supposedly really good for a human being to acknowledge the bad shit in you. So with this movie, I said I'm going to spend a month acknowledging the bad shit in the movie and accentuating it. So the negative feelings, the scary scenes, I was like, I'm going to make it even worse. And I wanted to have fun, so I said, I have a theme. I'm doing shadow work. I'm only going to edit at night. So I switched my whole schedule around, and I'd start editing like at 9 at night and go till sunrise. And it was so much fun. And I basically, like, I would have scenes that were slightly scary, and I'd say, how can I make it worse? Or like horrifying scenes, how can I make this shit worse? And what I found is after a month of doing this, the entire movie expanded. By making bad stuff worse, it made the good stuff better. It expanded the bandwidth of the emotions. It was amazing. And I would suggest you do that, even if you're editing a short film and you say, hey, I'm going to spend one day just looking at the yucky, queasy emotions in this and the things that trigger me and just like the scary shit in this movie. How can I make it even more intense? And what it does is it's going to make the positive moments even more positive. It's like this Aristotle thing where difference creates meaning. It really does. So definitely, yeah, shadow work is really important in a movie. It really worked. All right. I found my theory as an underground punk, no budget, low budget filmmaker to reach the next level. And what is the next level? For me, it was making a movie with someone else's money. I self-funded my own shit. Got into a terrible accident, had my arm like pulled into some machinery, like they were gonna amputate it. It was fucked up. I got some settlement money, and that's what I used to make like 3 or 4 feature movies. Like I moved from the East Coast to California and said, I'm gonna save this money up. Bad things can happen, and you can turn them around. I mean, I wish the accident had not happened. However, the fact that it happened, and I got a little chunk of change, it's sort of cool I could make movies. Anyway, my theory as an underground punk lo-fi filmmaker to reach the next level, to use other people's money, what I figured out, for me at least, I had to show flashes and glimmers of professionalism. What the fuck? And it makes sense, though. It was almost like people sometimes look at me as like, whoa, you're born fucked up, you're weird, and you're just letting your true essence flow, and that's who you are, and that's how you're always going to be. And I found that with my movies, if I had moments of sheer professionalism, i.e., a screenplay that's in proper format, a budget that's proper with everything covered, a pitch that was very professional, stuff like that, I found that if I have these flashes of professionalism, it lets the world know, holy shit, this guy does know what he's doing, and he's being fucked up on purpose. And I found that if you're fucked up on purpose with intention, it's way better than being fucked up by accident and fucked up just because that's who you are and you fell into it. It's almost like people with the money were like, yeah, he's making these crazy fucked up movies and breaking the rules. Wait, but he knows what the rules are. Fuck, okay, give him the money. This guy's legit. I swear, that's how I figured out I would get money, and it worked. So yeah, glimmers and flashes of professionalism sometimes really, really, really help. Another thing is make statements of power, and that's what I was talking about with Scumrock, this crazy-ass movie. I am not walking around saying, man, I'm poor and broke. I had to make this lousy movie with discarded equipment, and it's not really my dream equipment. That's a statement of weakness. Statement of power is, fuck technology. We made a movie with low-end gear, and it looks so good in digital video. Can't do this, so fuck you. This is the movie we want to make. You better check it out. It's going to change your life. Statement of power. A lot of filmmaking is like psychology, and I wouldn't call it lying. It's sort of like focusing on a certain aspect of things and trying to ignore the other aspect of it, like focus on the good, don't focus on the weak or the bad. Really, really crucial. All right. No statements of weakness. Be intentional with everything. All right, with sound, I found that if you have a scene that isn't working, the drama isn't working, you're watching a scene, and how I can describe it is, as a viewer, you're outside of the scene. It feels great as a viewer when you enter the movie, you're with them. It's when movies get, like, you feel like you can smell their body odor and cigarettes. Like, that's a fucking cool cinema. A lot of movies keep you on the outside, and I don't want that. And I found that what keeps people on the outside, in my opinion, is the sound. And I found that with Numbskull Revolution, I had these scenes where I had actors and dialogue and stuff talking, and I was like, this is supposed to be deep and meaningful, and I'm not drawn into the conversation. I've got great performances. I have really good sound. We did really good sound recordings. Technically, this is a well-edited scene. Why am I not drawn into it? And my film teacher mentioned back in the day when I was learning, she was like, one sound effect can draw people in. So that's what I did. I would find like one sound effect, and you put that one sound effect in, and suddenly it makes a scene three-dimensional. And I think sound is what draws people into the scene. So if you have a scene that's not working, before you start re-editing and tweaking all the visuals, think about the sound. And there's this one sound dude who's like my sound hero. He's still alive. I want to meet him. His name is Walter Murch. Yeah, you know Murch. This guy's brilliant, man, and fucking crazy. Yeah, Walter Murch. He's a Hollywood dude who does soundtrack work, and he's, we have this thing called sound design, which is like the soundscape of the movie. He's the one who sort of created the idea of movies having soundscapes. Up until this dude, it was sort of like a technical thing, like you watch a movie, you put in the sounds, and you make it as realistic as possible. Then you layer in some music to bring in the emotion, and you're done. And he was like, no, soundtrack is like a whole fucking work of art, and people aren't respecting it. So he really worked on sound design and came up with these crazy-ass theories. His biggest, like, groundbreaking work was Apocalypse Now. He did the sound design for that, and I think it's a really good sound design. I think it's overrated sound design-wise. Everyone has gone off, and when I finally checked it out, I was like, it was pretty good. It wasn't great, though. Anyway, though, he did Apocalypse Now, and he had some of the craziest, coolest theories. One of his theories just in life is he did all of his work standing up. So he's like, I'm training my body to get used to, like, standing up is creativity, sitting down is relaxation. So he did all of his movie work while standing. Interesting. He really liked live sounds. These days, it's really easy to get sounds off the internet. I get my sounds from this thing called Free Sound. Yeah. It's really good. I've got it here mentioned. You just download, should create an account. It's free. It's awesome. And what Walter Murch discovered is that sometimes live recordings are more important. You get these sound effects, sometimes you download them, they're really clean, and they have no presence. It's like the bottle breaking, and it's just a bottle breaking. What Walter Murch said, it's a whole soundscape around that sound effects. So he would go out into the world and record sound effects and also try to get background sounds to make stuff more real. So one of his things is like reality. If you need a sound of a bottle breaking, sometimes the best recording is you breaking a bottle in an environment that mimics the environment you shot. And that's what he did with American Graffiti, a 50s style movie, like 50s Happy Days style. And he had some scenes where people are outside listening to music outside. And what they kept doing is they got like this music and they got clean audio tracks, like really clean, nice versions of music, and they would paste the music into the scene, and it's like loudspeakers outside, people are hanging out, and it never worked. And he was like, I think we're using the wrong version of the music. So what he did is he's like, the music is coming out of these tiny little speakers in the shot. So he went home and he played the music in his backyard through these tiny crappy speakers, and he recorded that sound like that. And that's what they popped into the movie, and it made the scene happen and made it real. So he was like, wow, sound recording is an art form, and it's not all the same, and you've got to try to capture the environment behind it. So that's a really important, cool thing. Don't be afraid of recording your own sound effects. I did a lot with this movie, like footsteps, rustles of clothing, things breaking. I just used this freaking thing, recorded, downloaded, popped it in, beautiful. And some of these sound effects were way better than anything I could find on Freesound, because Freesound, everything was too clean and too in the studio and too pristine. Stuff I recorded was a little scuzzier in real life, and it worked way better in the movie. So that's the beauty of this shit. You can, I use this a lot too, to like film stuff and pop it into this movie, and it works great. This is like such a good production tool, such a good camera. All right, back to Walter Murch. He edited also, and I've started doing this, and this shit works. He said when you're doing your soundtrack work and you're watching your computer screen or monitor, look at the smallest, most thumbnail, lo-fi, cruddy, fucked up version possible of your movie, because the visual is so weak and bad, it's going to make you work harder to make a better soundtrack. Whereas if you're watching your movie on a huge 6-foot cinema display, you're blown away by the imagery. It looks so good. You're not going to work hard on the soundtrack because the imagery is so cool. And that's what I found with this movie. I mean, I just had like a 24-inch monitor. If I was watching that, the footage looks really great. We shot in 4K. So if I was editing with that, I would slack off on the soundtrack, just saying, I don't have to work that hard because the imagery is so beautiful. And I realized it was a problem. So I started editing using the little sort of thumbnail on my machine, where I'm editing using a little picture like that, and it made me work harder and create a better soundtrack. So try to edit your movie on a little lo-fi monitor. You will make a better soundtrack. He also saw the simplicity of sound design, and he had a scene in Apocalypse Now where they had like dialogue, explosions, all kinds of sound effects, and he had 6 layers of sound. And he kept rewatching this and showing it to people, and everyone was like, this scene is too confusing. We don't know what's going on. We can't follow anything. And Walter Murch was like, wow, these layers of sound are sort of like a sandwich. And I think I made a sandwich with too many layers and too much meat or too much lettuce or something. So he had a 6-layered sandwich, and he said, I'm going to get rid of 1 layer and make a 5-layered sandwich with my sound. And the moment he got it down to 5 layers, everything started working. He showed it to colleagues and the producers, and they're like, this scene works. What did you do? And so his theory is never use 6 tracks of sound. Never use 6 layers of sound. Go to 5 or less. And that's what I tried to do with my movie. I said my soundtrack is going to be 5 layers of sound or less, and I couldn't achieve it. Like, some stuff was so complicated. I went to like 8 layers of sound. I was so bummed out. I mean, I tried to make that my manifesto. I was like, I want to do a movie with minimal, with a really good sound design that's there with 5 layers of sound or less. I actually wrote that down, and I failed. I mean, however, I'd say 80% of the movie is 5 layers of sound, and I sort of believe him. Whenever I would go to 6, it would get too confusing. And so yeah, Walter Murch came up with that idea. Don't overdo sound effects. It feels nice to have all of this technology to tweak things, equalize things, blah, blah, blah. You can hear this shit. I would rather have just a good, clean, solid sound recording than a recording with extra reverb added in and this and that, and you turn the bass up. And I can hear that shit. I don't like it. I don't like overproduced sound. One other thing I found in sound, and this is huge, I worked with an editor. He used to work with George Lucas, a sound editor, so I learned tons of shit from this guy. And this changed my life, and that's when you're putting your soundtrack together. A lot of times you'll realize like the dialogue isn't loud enough, or something isn't loud enough, right? Like you have a scene with people talking, and you're like, the cars going by in the background are too loud, the birds are too loud, and the dialogue isn't loud enough, so you turn up the dialogue. His advice was you never turn up the dialogue, or you never turn up what's too low. Get used to turning everything down around it. I've found that if I keep turning shit up, it starts distorting, and then I've ruined the whole thing and I have to start all over. Every time I've turned up sounds, I start balancing it and it gets fucked up. Learn to turn shit down to bring up the sound that you want to hear. So if the sound effects are too loud, don't boost the dialogue. Turn down the sound effects. I did that for this movie the first time I really tried it in my life, and it is the way to mix sound and do sound design. It's crucial. All right, there's a American director, big Hollywood dude in the old days, John Ford. I don't like his movies, however, I like his career, because he was like punk rock. He did crazy shit and he made his movies. And he said one thing, he said a great movie is a bunch of average scenes strung together, average, mediocre, average, mundane, whatever. And then you have, in the midst of all these average scenes, you have 3 fucking amazing great scenes. And the rest is average. And so when I started making movies, like my second feature, I was like, I followed John Ford, and it fucking works. Because I had scenes that I was trying to make every scene great, and certain scenes weren't great. And so I said, I'm going to just focus on certain scenes. I'm just going to get by. Just like, let's get through this and give the audience the information, get to the next scene. And it really worked for a while. And then on this last movie, I started questioning this thing, and I was like, why isn't every scene great? Right? And so I did that, and I actually edited this thing for a month where I was like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to spend a few hours at a time. And actually, this is how I did it. I would wake up every morning and think about the whole movie. It was really like holistic and strange and cool. I'd wake up every morning, think about this movie. I'm in the middle of editing it, and I would ask myself, what's the weakest scene I have? And that's the scene I'd work on that day. And that's what I would focus on. And every single time when I walked away at the end of the day, I'd walk away saying, that weakest scene is now my favorite scene. And like I had some really lame-ass weak scenes, and they became my favorite scenes. And I did this with the entire movie. And I'm not going to say it's all perfect scenes or I love every scene. However, I was able to amp up the weak and mundane stuff instead of just leaving it there and walking away from it. So I love the John Ford idea. However, I think every scene in your movie, you should try to make it your best scene. And they're going to be best in certain ways. Like certain scenes are best because they look good or they sound good. They're not going to be the best scenes in the same way. However, it's something to try. All right. We're done with post-production. So your movie is done. What do? You do the copyright. You mail it into the Library of Congress. You pay your money. You get your certificate. And now we're getting to the hardcore crazy shit, which is distribution. And it's really interesting and cool. And it's like a new phase of movie making. I think when you finish a movie, you're 50% done. And now finding an audience, getting it out into the world, that's the other 50%. I'm a big fan of Karl Marx. And I like Marx because it really relates to filmmaking. His shit relates to filmmaking. So I think it was Swiss. He was some like dude came up with economic theories. His writing is really dry. I think he has some really cool ideas, and it's like knowledge. Marx is too much knowledge. You have to sift through and find like the 5 good ideas he had or whatever. So Marx, this whole thing was a mode of production. Or this is what I got, and it's how we create things, how we come up with ideas, create things, create objects, create movies. How we get them out to the world, mode of production. And he said to succeed and hold your power, we have to control the whole mode of production, i.e. we can't relinquish our power at any stage. And so that would mean like, wow, I'm not gonna work with a distributor because I'm relinquishing power to someone else. He basically said, for filmmaking, you have to write the script, you have to film the movie, you have to edit it, and then you have to be in control of how it gets out into the world, and you will be a successful artist and happy if you control every stage of the production. You don't fuck it up. And I think that really holds true. We're always collaborating with people with movies. We rely on other people to show the movies. However, at any point if you're surrendering the movie fully to another human being, you're fucking up. And I'm talking from experience because I've done that, especially in distribution. A lot of distributors, the goal of a movie maker is to get a distribution deal, and the moment filmmakers get this, they're like, I'm in the clear, I have a home for my movie, I'm set, I'm retired. Yeah. And it's so untrue. I've done that and gotten screwed every single time I've done that. The moment you turn your movie over to a distributor, it's really weird. Mainstream distributors, this is what they say to you. They say, hey, you made a movie. We love your feature. Played at Sundance. We want to pick it up. We're Sony Pictures. We want to pick up your movie. So the first thing you do, we're going to give you a $2 million advance on this movie. It's a great movie. We want to release it around the world. Give us your copyright. Sign the copyright over to us so you no longer own it, and it's Sony's movie. I've worked with small-time rinky-dink distributors. They've said the same shit to me. Basically, distributors want to own it. And the problem with that is, you sign the deal with Sony, you've lost your movie. And the copyright basically is not only controlling where the movie's going to play, how it gets released, what the posters look like. It's the money flow. So by giving your movie to Sony, you've said, I'm relinquishing the finances of the movie, you guys take over. And that's bullshit because they'll make sure you get $0. That's what distributors will do. They're notorious for spending huge amounts of money. They get paid first. Filmmakers always get paid last in distribution. It's so fucked up. I made Modfuck Explosion, and I had a distribution deal. I worked with a small distributor. We haggled and negotiated, and I didn't give them the copyright. I refused to. Like the contract stalled for like 2 months, and they finally agreed. So they didn't have the copyright. And I remember the first screening of this movie. It played in a theater in San Francisco. In the box office, it made like $3,000 or $4,000 in one night. And I was like, filmmaking. And this was like in the 90s, so that would equate to like $8,000 now in one night. I was like, I'm gonna get rich making movies, like $3,000 in one night. Yeah. And months later, you know, we got the finance reports and everything trickled back, and I'm sitting with my producer, and he's like, all right, you know, the movie theater played it, we made $3,000, they kept $2,000, they had expenses, so, you know, then the distributor got their 50%, then the distributor made posters, and they went with a high-end graphic design. Basically, the $3,000 that came in, we both, the two producers, we walked away with $20 each. Yeah, it's crazy shit, and that's why I'm very skeptical about working with distributors in certain ways. And if you get rid of that distributor and you distribute, you get that money. That's why all these middle people sort of suck. On the other hand, distributors have power, and they can get the movies in places I can't get it.
I don't have.
Sorry. Oh, no worries. So this is what I do with distributors. I insist on what's called a non-exclusive agreement, which means, hey, I'll sign a deal with you, Sony. I have the power to also sign it with someone else. And it's non-exclusive. I'm not tied to one person. So if Sony fucks up and doesn't release the movie, I can still go to someone else. And I can make deals and keep making money with other people. And that's how I do all my distribution deals. It has to be non-exclusive. If they don't do it, I'm like, goodbye, won't talk to you. And it really works. And I have a horror story. I knew this dude from Australia. He made this amazing feature movie, and Troma picked it up. Troma. They picked up his movie, and he was overjoyed. And then and he signed over his copyright. He gave Troma his copyright. And they didn't release the movie for like 5 years. And so he's like, oh man, you guys, what's going on? And they kept giving him excuses. And he said, well, I shot this in Australia. I have AIDS, I'm dying. Fucking let me show it. Can I do a cast and crew screening for the people who help? He couldn't even show his own movie to friends. Troma was like, we're gonna sue your ass if you show it, because we're the distributor, and Troma said, who owns the copyright? We do. We own this movie, we control it, we say when it plays. And so Troma put the movie on their back shelf, and it's still sitting on the back shelf 20 years down the line. He's passed away, and the movie will never probably be released. And he fucked up because he lost all his rights when he lost the copyright. So if he had a non-exclusive deal, he could have been like, fuck, Troma's fucking me over. Shit, I'm going to talk to Sony now. Maybe I'll self-release it and they can't stop me. It's non-exclusive. So really, yeah, distribution deals can like really ruin your life if if you're not aware of this stuff. All right, as far as releasing movies, what generally happens is you open shit in movie theaters. Generally, you do film festivals first, then you go to movie theaters. Then you do like some physical release like DVDs or Blu-rays, and then you finally go to streaming. There's sort of an order to this shit. I follow this order. That's like industry standard. It's how movies are done in the industry. I follow it. It makes sense. Once the movie is out on DVD, it's hard to show it in a movie theater because people can watch it in their home. Once it's streaming, it's hard to sell DVDs. So you're doing movie theaters first, DVDs, Blu-rays, and finally streaming. Keep everything non-exclusive, and as far as getting your movie out there, it's become, I think, a better world. I'm right now self-distributing this movie, which means I'm the distributor. I'm calling theaters, emailing them, and I've got this movie booked into 20 cities after LA. Like, it's amazing. Like another show in LA, San Francisco, Sacramento, Portland, Seattle, Santa Fe, Albuquerque, Dallas, Austin. Got St. Louis, Kansas City, Chicago, New York, Williamsburg, Philadelphia. Talking to Cincinnati and Cleveland. I got stuff in Winnipeg, Canada. I'm talking to some people in Australia. It's really cool. I'm self-distributing. So there's a network, and it's pretty new. There's a network of cinemas across America and the world, and they're like micro cinemas, and they're like cinemas run out of people's garages and spaces. And this wasn't here 5 years ago. There weren't that many. About 5 years ago, it was really hard to release things on a movie screen. Now it's so easy. I mean, in LA, you've got movie theaters. I had a screening at this place called Veggie Cloud in Highland Park, which is like, they converted a garage into a screening space with 50 seats with beautiful projection and free screenings. I mean, there's a place in Kansas City called the Stray Cat Film Center. It's a punk collective that shows movies. And so if you just research micro cinema, Google that, you're going to see a whole network of fucking cool-ass theaters all over America that were not here even a few years ago. And a lot of them are the punk rock spirit. Like, we put on our own shows. We make sure filmmakers get paid a percentage of the money. I try to get a 50-50 deal where, they sell a ticket for $10. They get $5, I get $5. Clean deal. I provide them with posters and all kinds of cool promotional materials, and it's really easy and fun to connect with other like-minded human beings who, I'm sort of like, these theaters mimic me. They're like the punk rock version of my movies, and at the same time, I'm getting some really high-end screenings, like Hammer Museum. Braindead is really high-end. I'm playing at like the best theater in Manhattan in New York, like the Roxy. So it's a mixture of shit, going on. There are theaters, and a lot of filmmakers get scared. They're sort of like, I'm going to put my stuff on social media, I'm done. It's a safe way. It's safe. And it's a really easy way to avoid distribution. It's sort of like, I finished my movie. What do? Okay, I'm going to post it. It's done. It took 2 minutes. I posted it, did a description, all done. And, it depends on what the project is. It depends on what your ambitions are. However, I'm sort of skeptical about too much shit going out on the internet and social media. I have a really weak Instagram account. I just started it recently, and it's fun. I don't focus on it. My Instagram account is almost like a community bulletin board telling people where to go see my movie, where to go buy the DVD, who is streaming it. So it's like you go to the bulletin board and I tell like, hey, I've got a screening in the city. It tells you where to go to spend the money. I do cool like little promotional things and trailers and photos and stuff. However, I don't actually want to release the movie for free on social media, because once you post something, it's gone. You can't. It really doesn't make sense to do a DVD or you can't. It's hard to make money off of it once people see it for free. Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit about like when you're self-distributing?
Yeah.
You're kind of going on tour with your film. Can you talk about balancing the finances of that, or like how to
Like how you budget that?
Yeah, like how do you make it not sink your money? You're not paying for your work,
I pay for all this shit. Like these posters cost $50 a piece to make at Kinko's. I have a designer. I have to pay her to do that. I pay for everything, and what I'm trying to do is keep costs down so that when I release a movie, I'm recouping this money. Yeah, I mean, unless you have a legit unless you have a legit distributor, you're going to pay for this stuff. Since I'm self-distributing, I'm the distributor, so I've got to pay for this. I've got to bankroll
So
this
this
stuff.
is like marketing.
Yeah, it's marketing, PR, stuff like that, and that leads me to something called a press release. It's second to the last, actually, third to the last, second to last pages, 10 and 11, and this is called a press release, and it's how you let the world know, and especially the media, reporters, writers, magazines, newspapers, websites, etc. You let people know that your movie is done. You let people know that you have a screening. So I actually included a press release that I use to hype tonight's show. This is my actual press release I sent out to hype tonight's show. The worst thing as a filmmaker is to sit back saying, I've got a screening, they're going to find me because I'm so fucking interesting. And they're going to love me and they're going to write about me. You know why they won't do that? Because reporters are fucking overworked. They get insane deadlines like, you're a reporter, I want a movie review from you. It's a movie you've never seen, give it to me in 20 minutes. And so you're sitting there like, I've got to watch a feature movie and write a review in 20 minutes for this like website or for this magazine. Like that's what it is to be a reporter. So reporters rarely have time to actually go into the world and look for shit. They're waiting for people to tell them about shit. So I send reporters my press release, and if you notice, it's really cool because I have links to the screener. So they go to Vimeo, they can watch the screener, punch in the password, and then you can't see it here. This is the actual email I send out. I have a bunch of color photos I include. I even have the cast and crew credits. I basically have everything here for a reporter to be sitting there and get this, and they can write a movie review right on the spot. So if you have a 20-minute deadline, and this happens to be lying on your desk, you're like, shit, maybe I'll review this movie for my deadline. And it's like, hey, there's a link. I don't have to watch the whole movie. I'll watch one scene. It looks good enough. It's professional. Right on. Oh, I got the names of the actors. I can write a review. And what I include in my press release is an actual description of the movie so they don't have to watch it. No, I mean, it's bullshit. These reporters don't have time to actually watch your movie. It's crazy. So I tell them what the movie's about, and honestly, I have had people write reviews that are word for word the shit I fed them. And so that's why I'm going to feed them really beautiful shit, because they'll reprint it, and suddenly, people are like, John, did you see this? Like, film critic gave you the best review. They're writing, and they say such great things, and I'm like, I wrote it. That's my writing word for it. It happens a lot. That's the business. Okay, it's crazy. Yeah.
Hey, hi John.
What's up, Rachel Michelle?
I just had a question about on the Lower East Side a few years ago.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Remember? Like, so what's your strategy for like kind of bridging like the art world stuff? Because I feel like you have like a good relationship with those kind of outlets.
It's, I think bridging the art
You're in
world.
UCLA, so.
All right, bridging the art world, like as a filmmaker, getting into like I had a really cool show a few years ago in an art gallery, cool art gallery in New York City, and I basically showed 7 of my movies at the same time, and the gallery was like a bunker. It was like a concrete underground bunker. It was so cool ass. It was like a bank, an old bank, and they had like the bank vault and shit, and it was like this industrial cool location, and we just basically projected 7 movies at the same time. We had a mixing board, and we just kept it obnoxious, loud, and confusing. And it actually sort of became white noise, and it was really fucking meditative and peaceful. It was a trip. It was really cool. So yeah, as far as bridging into the art world, I think it's the same games with press releases, representing yourself, being fucked up, and showing moments of complete professionalism. And the biggest problem is, how do you present a movie in an art gallery? That's the thing. Like, an original way to show a movie in an art gallery, you can have a little monitor and a stand or project things on walls. I don't know. I don't think it's been done enough. I don't think it's been utilized or pushed. I think that's the key, is just figuring out how do you present. That was our big issue. Like, the gallery wanted to show my movies, and for months we just discussed, how do you show movies in an art gallery where you don't want to have chairs there, and you want people to check things out, and you want people to sift. It was a big issue. So that's my theory.
And the sound design was really good in that too, because I think, did you have like, as you got closer to each movie on the wall, I feel like you could hear that.
We had a good speaker system, and we did a live mix, so we could tweak things, and like certain movies have quiet points, so we turn stuff up. Or I really like knowing the noisy points of movies, and I turn up the volume and make it really noisy. Yeah. All right, so yeah, we have our press release, really, really crucial, really important. And why do you want to get press? Why do you want to send this stuff out to papers and reporters and get the write-ups? Because press is free advertisements. You get a good review in a paper, people see it, they come see your movie. The other cool thing about press is you grab that quote and you put that cool-ass quote on your poster, on your video boxes, on your T-shirts, and quotes sell movies. Like, for me to say, hey, this is a good movie, people will be like, yeah, it's your movie. Of course you're going to say it's good. Whereas if I have a quote from the impartial third party, like LA Times or whatever, oh shit, it is a good movie because LA Times said it's good. People think that way. I started my career by making up fake quotes about myself. So I came up with the most outrageous quotes from non-existent entities, like, I was the boil on the buttocks of the indie film scene from the London Film Collective. None of that exists. I made that up. And there's really cool ways to work quotes. Like one of my movies, Modfuck Explosion, got a really bad review in the New York Post. Bad review, like one of the huge newspaper, New York Post, huge. And they said something like, this is their quote. New York Post said that they hated the movie. So they said, Modfuck Explosion, this is not good revolutionary cinema. So I was like, man, New York Post, I gotta use this. So what I did is, I got rid of that stuff. Suddenly, good revolutionary cinema. Yeah, right. I mean, and that's allowed. I mean, with these quotes, you put dots in where you're deleting shit. So like, dot. Good. And I use it. It's on my website and shit. This was crazy in Hollywood about 20 years ago. There's a movie ad, and it was like, superb, outstanding filmmaking, the best movie ever created. It was like the craziest best sentence. And if you looked really closely, every word had a little number, a footnote. And what the filmmakers did is they grabbed one word at a time from different reviews and pieced together their own sentence that made and it was a terrible movie. They grabbed one word at a time and pieced together a great sentence. So people do this creative, crazy shit. You should try to get write-ups for your movies. It's really, really, really going to help you. All right. Social media. Another thing with social media is I just have problems with it being something we watch movies on. I'm staring at a Hershey's bar, crummy sound, usually in a public place with buses going by and people talking to me. I envision my movies in a theater where it's the work of art, where it's quiet, where it's big. So when I'm editing my movies, I envision a big movie. I don't envision a small screen. And on the other side of things, these screens are crucial in life. So I'm training myself right now to visualize things on a small screen too. It's taken me a while to be able to post shit and edit shit and put stuff on Instagram. I'm finally getting the hang of it. And I try to now visualize my movies on a small screen, and I actually have made a few concessions in this movie to a small screen. Just there have been times where the soundtrack has been sort of chaotic, and I've thought that won't translate to these speakers, so I'm going to clean up the soundtrack, make it simpler and more understandable, so people watching it on this thing can get it. So yeah, it's something to consider: big screen, medium, small. All right. Getting close to the end. I'm going to open up any questions. Yeah.
Going back to your pre-production budget,
Yeah.
with all those disclaimers people sign and stack of singles, do you find people work for $1 or?
Yeah. I found that people will work for free. People are looking for experience on movies. Raid the film schools. Events like this are perfect for meeting other filmmakers and crew members. Treat people with respect. Give them a reason to return. And this is one thing I do with my crews, which makes me way different from other movies. There's a hierarchy in movie making, and like people kiss my ass because I'm the director. I try to break it down. And one thing I tell everyone is like, I'm open to creative ideas from every person on this set. And then I say, and there's going to be a point where you guys are talking too much, so I'm going to tell you all to shut up. We're going to do it my way. However, I'm open to collaborating. And in Terminal USA, there's a scene where my character's like riding that toy horse, and it's my favorite scene in the movie. And originally, it wasn't there. We're going to film that scene, and I didn't know how to do it. And one of the production assistants, which is sort of on a movie set, that's like the low position. You're sort of running around doing shit for people. A PA came up to me and he said, hey, we have this toy horse that's in the background. What if you rode it and you're just like riding the horse and looking at the magazines, and we were gonna film in like 5 minutes. I was like, genius idea. So we changed the lighting scheme, brought the horse in. And so this guy, Fred Chu, who was a PA, came up with the idea. And I think when you treat crew members that way and give them an investment in the movie and a voice in the movie, you will get them to return, because most movies, if you're a PA, it's like shut the fuck up and work harder. Like people do not respect production assistants. And so I feel that there's so many things you can give people that are not money, and if you do it the right way, like people do things for the vibes and for the good feeling, and do that with your movie. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Yeah.
Sorry. I just want to add, because I basically kind of took the whole approach of going on tour with a movie that, really kind of, you helped me with the idea, and...
That's Case, he's a brilliant filmmaker. Check out his shit.
But I do want to add really quick, because you were discussing this a little bit, if I could just say that I do really, really say that if you do have a film, book it into places and just take a van and go around with the film, because the film festival trap is you can just, because that costs money. So
Yeah,
it
they're
costs
expensive.
money to put gas in your car and drive around America, but it's a lot cheaper than applying for film festivals that you probably won't get into, and all of a sudden now they have your money and now you have no money.
Yeah.
So that, I guess, to me, I just want
Yeah, that's great. That's a great point. I was inspired by the punk rock music scene when I started filmmaking. I started filmmaking in the mid to late 80s, and the indie scene was like Jim Jarmusch made an indie film that is getting mainstream play. That was the indie scene. There was like a scuzzy underground. That was it. And I had no one I really looked to for advice or inspiration within the film scene, and I looked to the music scene, and I was like, there are these like punk bands and hardcore bands touring the world, releasing their own records on these punk labels, booking their own tours, creating their own clubs and spaces, and I was like, that's the shit I'm going to bring to my movie making, and that's how I'm going to do movies. So yeah, touring with your movies is great. I found out early on that bands are great to work with, and if you don't have a name, if you don't have actors with names, maybe you can work with a band with the name, and the band will be the lead actor of your movie instead of known actors. So I treated the bands like the superstars, where my posters, my video boxes highlighted the music, and the bands were my stars, when the stars were known as stars. I got inspired by the music scene was doing grassroots self-distribution way before the movie scene. Again, building your own movie theater. If you don't know where to play the theater, create a micro cinema in your house. You're the theater. That's what punk rock is about. And I got so empowered by the music scene. Definitely look at it, and all these like little labels like, you know, Touch and Go and Discord and even SST before they fucked everyone over. You know, they were cool labels, and really I learned a lot about business through the music scene. And what I've also found with the music scene is I try to align with like-minded people. That's what I'm trying to look for in the world. I think my art is pretty abrasive and weird and extreme, and what it serves, it attracts the right people to me, and it sort of shoos away the people I don't want to deal with. And I like to work with like-minded people with the same vibe and concerns. So, you know, the way I make movies is like how a lot of bands operate, a lot of punk rock record labels operate, and it's a true partnership. And that's my pitch. Like if I'm talking to a band, I'll say, hey, I really want to use your music. This is who I am, and this is film. We're gonna find you guys a new audience in the film scene by being in this movie. Like I give the band a reason to work with me. And even like, hey, maybe in the future shoot a music video or something, you know, it really works out. And I try to get everything for free. I don't pay money for musicians. I don't pay money for actors. I've only done this on one project, the big PBS one. All right, yeah.
Just one more question about the micro cinemas and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that another thing you use social media for? Like the cultural capital, like connecting the dots?
Yeah, It's really cool. You can do a lot of detective work on social media, because I stopped filmmaking. My life got so fucked up. I retired unhappily from movie making for like 2 to 3 years, and this movie was shot. I had a really bad version of it, and I actually like sort of buried it. I told my family, like, I'm not making any more movies. I'm done. And I actually said, this is going to be my unfinished movie, and that sucks. However, it'll add to my reputation as a badass, because it's like, what the fuck? He shot a movie and it's not done, and he's never going to finish. No, I wasn't going to do any more art for a couple years. I had all this major crazy shit happening in my life that just was way bigger than art, that tore me apart, and I just couldn't do anything. And so the fact that I'm back making art, like that's what I'm saying about life is, I mean, we're sitting here, and I've been at times in my life where cinema is everything. Like, I want to make a movie. When I started, I want to make a movie and change the world and freak out the uncool people and make happy the cool people. But cinema, I was like, I will die for this movie to make this fucking movie. And nah, life will make you die. The movie, movies are so surface compared to how deep life is. And I don't know, if we can embrace life and bring some of that deep depth into the movie, that's something genius. And I don't think I really felt that until now. Like, I feel the finiteness of life and the immediacy of like making another movie, and also just how fragile art is. And I really like it, because now I realize art is something that, it used to be number one, I'll die for art, for my movie, and now I won't. It's important. It's not that important. I can let it go. I can let all this shit go any moment. You know, my materialism has dropped. Like, what I give a fuck about now is just like, you know, human connections and like this weird intangible shit. And I think it's going to help my movie making. So, yeah, we're wrapping up now. I'm going to give you my website. Well, no, JonMoritsugu.com. That's pretty easy. And honestly, if you hit contact, you will email me directly and say you were in the class. And if you ever need advice, I'm there for you. Really. It might take me a little while to get back to you. I promise. I love connecting with people. If you have a movie and you're like, hey, I finished it. I have a rough cut. Would you mind taking a look at it? Fuck yeah. It might take me a while. I will. I promise you. I get back to everyone. Stay in touch. Make your movies. Live your life. Be safe. And I don't know. Movie making. It's a complicated, weird thing. And then again, it's also a really simple thing. And if you can survive to this age in life, you can make movies. And yeah, really. Okay, here's the last thing. Okay, all of you, or hopefully all of you, or most of you are going to leave this class in a few minutes like stoked, like pumped up, like, fuck, I got these dreams, these projects I'm going to do. And this high is going to last for about 24 hours. Because tomorrow night, no, I was telling someone, tomorrow night it's going to be like 50% of tonight. And it's going to go down to 25. And in a week, you won't want to make a movie again. I promise you. So tonight, strike while the iron is hot. And put yourself into that state of mind of, I have to make this movie tomorrow. What are my resources? How the fuck can I make this movie? And try to figure it out, because even if one or two of you can start a movie and honestly say, wow, I'm going to start a movie real soon or tomorrow, like, that's a success. It's really easy to lose this energy. So really, I promise you it's going to disappear pretty quickly. So grab it tonight, stay up, drink coffee, and just scheme and like live your dreams and, you know, create your dream movie and realize that there's writing for a movie, and any idea you come up with in a movie, you can do it. There's no limitations. Paul.
I was just going to say, if you want to extend that inspiration just a little bit further, I was showing Notes on Revolution.
Yeah. Watch my movie, and then actually, I can't wait to see this projected, because my favorite movie I've made is Modfuck Explosion. That was from we filmed that in 1992, got finished in 94. And I've always tried to make a movie that felt as good as that one, and I know this is it. I haven't even screened it, and I'm like, this movie is brutally cool. And all my movies have been born as like babies. My movies are babies. You got to protect them with the copyright. They're going to get decimated if you don't nurture them. And this movie, because it took so long to make, like 9 years. It was filmed in 2017. This movie is not a baby. It's like a rambunctious teenager. This movie booked itself across America. It literally jumped onto an airplane and ran to movie theaters and said, play me. So yeah, this is like a weird movie, and my goal was just to make a movie that no one else has seen before. And yeah, this movie is a pure mindfuck. I'm really proud of it. All right, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You guys rock. I mean, this is what it's about. This to me is bigger than making a movie. It's a human connection and the energy we're sharing. I mean, this shit is priceless. This is a priceless day. Thank you. You guys made my day good. Thank you. You rock. Thank you.
I got to work with Walter Mark.
Oh, you did?
Was it awesome? Was it awesome? Yeah.